Hello, live from our studios here at Adesawe Kanda in Accra. This is News at 10. I'm Stephen Enti. Over the next 30 minutes, we'll bring you the very latest news from across the country and beyond. We're live from our studios here, and you can hear us on 3FM 92.7. And you can catch us also live on DSTV channel 279. Let's first start with a summary of the day's major news highlights. The bodies of 3 children aged between 3 and 6 have been found at the back seat of a salon car at Elmina in the central region. The children, Mami Kuya Fi and Yao, failed to return home after leaving for church service unaccompanied by their parents Sunday morning. And 2 Court of Appeal judges and 2 legal practitioners have been approved for promotion to the Supreme Court. The nomination of Justices Samuel K. Marfo Sao and Mrs. Agnes M.A. Doji, both Court of Appeal judges, Nene Amegache, former Ghana Bar Association President, and Professor Ni Ashi Kote were approved by the Council of State. And one of the persons nominated as a juror in the case involving 14 persons who have been accused of killing Major Maxwell Adam Mahama told the Accra High Court she was not comfortable. According to my colleague Godfrey Tanam, she begged the court to be taking off the panel of jurors on the case. And the Works and Housing Ministry is to assess a $100 million World Bank facility to address the perennial flooding in Accra and Kumasi. The sector minister, Samuel Atachia, gave the hint on a tour of some drain sites in Accra. And also, South African police have raided the compound of former President Jacob Zuma's allies, the Guptas. The Guptas were accused 2 years ago in a report by a corruption watchdog of using their influence to gain control of state companies and contracts. And those were our major news highlights. Remember, you can hear me live on 3FM 92.7 and catch our live feed on DSTV channel 279, as well as live stream on Facebook and on 3news.com. Up next is a big one. Welcome now. The Executive Director of the Africa Center for Security and Counterterrorism, Yamano Coating, has allegedly been assaulted by some policemen driving an Operation Calm Live vehicle with registration number GP4639. According to Mr. Coating, he was later handcuffed and bundled into their vehicle and sent to the Community 18 police station. He has served notice. The matter will not rest until justice is served. The police administration says it is investigating the matter and has the same referred to the police intelligence and professional standards. PIPs were joined on the Skype now by Mr. Coating, who's joining us now. Mr. Coating, good evening. So tell us, run through for us exactly what happened to you.
Well, thank you very much for having me, and very good evening to your cherished listeners. In fact, before I begin, I just pray that what happened to me never happened to any Ghanaian. It was a very unfortunate incident, and it brings into perspective innocent Ghanaians who are falling victim to the barbaric activities of some of these unscrupulous police personnel who are denting the image of the hard-working police personnel. What was my crime? I went for a family meeting, and we closed at about 11:30. So when I moved to my car, then a car just appeared with a headlight on my face. It momentarily blinded me, so I used one of my hands to cover my face and the other one in protest. When the car drew closer, I realized it was a police patrol vehicle. So it was some sort of relief for me, since as a security analyst, I'm always working with these policemen and women, and they are my friends. So I asked the driver why he blinded me in that manner. Then his response was that, is the road my house? I was a stupid man. And I asked that, my friend, what right have you got? Is it because you are in a police uniform you can just insult anybody? Then he said, so what can I do? And came up for the vehicle and punched my face. Then their colleagues came down, cocked their guns, brought an handcuff and tried to handcuff me. So I resisted. And I resisted because there was no name tags on their uniform. I wasn't sure whether they are policemen or not. So in the midst of the scuffle, my uncles who were still at the meeting grounds, they came up. There were 3 former MPs and 1 former deputy minister. So they accosted the police and said what barbaric activities were they undertaking here. Even if they knew the person they were dealing with, they wouldn't have done this. Then what came out of their mouth was that, who am I? So the MPs introduced them to them. They were former MPs, and they called their bluff that they have arrested people who are more than them. So in the process, I picked my phone to call to make a call for help, and they said I can call any big man. After all, it's this same big man that sent them for me. So one of my brothers told me in my Konkomba language to just comply, since they have cocked their guns and these scuffles, they don't shoot me and say that it was in the midst of the scuffle the gun went off. So they bundled me into their car with their handcuff. Then my uncle asked where they were taking me to, and they said the Sakumono police station. So my uncles went into their car to Sakumono, and they diverted and took me to the 18 police station. It was at that point my uncles got my proper location and came and handed my phone to me, and I called ACP Eklu. And it was Eklu who intervened and got some release for me, and I was released. But there's one remarkable thing. I had money in my back pocket, 2,000 Ghana cedi, and in my other pocket, it was 740 Ghana cedis. So when we got to the station, the pocket was removed. So when I realized the pocket was turned out, I complained to the police and said, look, in this pocket, I had 740 Ghana cedi. So I removed it and they asked me to count it. And I counted it and it was 740 Ghana cedi. And they asked that then I should make a complaint for the 2,000 Ghana cedi that got missing. So the question is, my brother, police who are arresting me.
Right, we'll get back to Mr. Coating pretty shortly. Very harrowing narrative there from Mr. Coating. But Mr. Coating, we'll get back to you. But let's return to the studio. Sonia Deep, Mr. Coating is back on Skype. Mr. Coating, we lost you momentarily. So you were saying that after you raising the concerns about the money, you were asked to make a formal complaint. So you did make the complaint that your money was lost. Is it that you suspect that the money was stolen by the police, or what? Or it might have fallen along the line when they were heckling you?
Because they were the only people who heckled me. There was no third party in the Mali. And in fact, let me be honest, the beating they gave me, they really gave me the beating of my life. I've never received this kind of beating, and I pray it doesn't happen to any Ghanaian.
So when you say when you say they beat you, I need to get explicit description. They punched your face, that's one, and they kicked your head, they kicked your ribs, or what? What exactly did they do to you?
They punched my face, used the gun to hit my ribs, they tore my trousers and my shirts. So there were pictures the police investigator took as exhibit. And they held my throat. As the whole day, I could not eat than take banana because I couldn't swallow because of the way they held my neck. And you see, this brings into perspective one thing. You realize that these stories come every now and then. And we as security analysts, we tend to doubt them. After having experienced it, I am bound to believe that the stories that some police can even arrest you and plant substances is true. And I think that it is a dent on the hard-working personnel of the service. And I also want to use this platform. You realize just a month ago, a colleague of mine lost his life in the eastern region in a similar fashion. Prince Kobna Kumi. I'm just praying that Ghanaians should rally behind and let's get justice for Prince Kobna Kumi. Because these are the things that happen and we don't take actions and it leads to much bigger things.
Right, Mr. Coating, we're grateful. We'll leave it here, continue our discussion. This really, it's very disturbing. Mr. Sonia Deep, very disturbing. I don't know what to make of what I'm hearing him say. Police officers punching him, and the accusation is that he might have exchanged harsh words or whatever it is with the police officers. Does this come to you as a surprise, or you think that perhaps Mr. Coating is over-exaggerating the narrative?
Well, this is not coming to me as a surprise. However, I'll be very diligent with what I'd say here because, of course, investigations has been still...
And he has reported to the police investigations professional standards, PIPs.
However, you know, we have instances where law enforcement officers who are supposed to be honor-bound to defend and to protect do things that are inconsistent with the law. And it is quite worrying, especially at this time where we're very concerned with the waning public interest and confidence in law enforcement. And trust me, without the cooperation of the public, you cannot do your work. When in 1822, Sir Robert Peel became the Home Secretary, that is the Interior Minister in the UK, and in 1829 he put together the Metropolitan Police. He came out with certain principles called the 9 Pillar Principles of Modern Day Policing, and that has been the benchmark for best international police practices.
Is it to say that you feel that the Ghana Police Service is not adhering to these international best practices or standards?
The international best practice is hinged on harnessing your relationship based on cordiality, trust and respect between your outfits and the people. And it's also very categorical about the fact that you should try as much as you can to reduce the level of force unless in extreme circumstances you used against the public, because it is opined that the more force you use against the people, the less you get them to cooperate with.
I know that the police service are doing their job. I must be honest. I've faced a lot of instances where, I mean, I close from work pretty late. I've had to be stopped by the road and I've been roughed up and searched. And, well, I mean, they're doing their job, but I sometimes feel the way they go about it, the aggression, they cock up guns on... Well, I'm an innocent person as far as I know. I'm minding my own business and you've stopped me. I have complied. You're searching me. You shouldn't be excessively aggressive in trying to show power or force. Right this afternoon, I was stopped on the highway by police visibility Operation Calm Life vehicle right in the middle of the road, a hot afternoon when I'm dropping my child to school. And so some of these narratives sometimes, if you say them, it might sound as if you are bastardizing the police service. I reckon that Mr. Coating has been seen as being too critical of the police administration, for which they told him that big men sent them to him. Do you believe this, that some people are sent to molest people like that, beat him up technically?
Well, like I indicated, investigation is being conducted, but like you rightly mentioned, we have some police personnel doing wonderful things. I mean, we cannot bastardize the importance of the police service in harnessing our democracy in the country. However, just like any other human institution, even in the military, recently I brought up the issue of one Lieutenant Oklo Timothy of the 48th Engineers
who vandalized your property.
Who vandalized some property in Tamale. To date, nothing has been done.
What are your expectations of this case from the PIPs, the police PIPs unit?
I am hoping that it doesn't just end here. Proper investigation is done, and whoever is found to have misbehaved or done anything that is inconsistent with the values of the profession in which they are should be brought.
But the police PIPs doesn't have the record of investigating and finding their own people liable. I don't suspect that this will go anywhere. Actually,
I think I'm tempted to agree with you to a very large extent, because we've had a tendency of the police sweeping under the carpet anytime any of their personnel does the wrong thing. But I don't think it is helping them, in a sense that one of the surest ways to get the people to buy into and engender the support of the people and to make everybody part of the policing process
is to promote fairness.
Is to promote fairness and, of course, to make the service accountable to the people. However, anytime we have issues of this coming up, we have internal investigation process,
and then nothing happens,
and nothing comes out of it. And I do agree, because I mean, how possible are you expected to be fair when you are asked to investigate your father? So I think it is important that we rather get a neutral body to go into some of these
Right,
issues.
Ms. Adi, we're grateful for your time. Thank you extremely. Sonia Deep is a security analyst. I'm Stephen Enti. I'm a journalist. This is News at 10. We're live from the News Hub at Adisawe Kanda. We'll be right back. Please stay. Welcome back. And the Ghana Navy has seized 3 more vessels. That's news just coming in Ghanaian waters at Takoradi in the western region for allegedly engaging in illegal activities. This comes less than 24 hours after the Navy seized 2 Nigerian vessels around Tema. The 3 ships were found illegally transferring oil products to each other and were immediately impounded and their occupants arrested. All right, let's quickly get onto the telephone lines. Duncan Amoy is Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, COPEC. He's joining me now. Mr. Williams, we spoke to you yesterday, Mr. Duncan Amoy, I beg your pardon. We spoke to you last night, and you told us that you have shared outcomes of your independent investigations you've done with the security agencies, the MPA, and the Ghana Ports Authority and the Navy. Do you get the impression that the arrest today is part of an overall plan, judging from what you have shared with them?
Indeed, Stephen. I am more than happy, encouraged as a Ghanaian that we are seeing this level of commitment in fighting what has become apparently a canker in the oil sector. One, I have mentioned already that the gang behind this are well connected and highly placed. And so it becomes a bit difficult sometimes if you don't have the political support and will to fight these people. Mind you, over 850 million Ghana cedis went into the pockets of these people. And so when you decide to go after them, you would expect that they would fight with a lot of resources at their disposal. Just last week, some 2 arrests, separate arrests have been made. Today, another one has been made. I am quite certain that if we could all encourage the NPA and the security agencies to continue, maybe there will be further arrests tomorrow, there will be some arrest the day after. And I'm sure that it could even go faster than some of us had actually projected. It could take 6 months to curtail that illegal trade. But what we are seeing is quite encouraging. We would want whatever security that the NPA boss would need be extended, whatever political support they would need be extended, so that the big names that often comes up with these illegal fuel smuggling syndicates could be apprehended once and for all. Ghana could get back to safe fuel for all, and the government would also not have to lose tax and revenue as far as fuel smuggling is concerned.
Now, Ms. Amwa, you keep mentioning that these are well-connected gangs and a cartel of very important people. I mean, I know that you would not be mentioning names, but do you get the sense that the scale and magnitude of the problem is bigger than what we're seeing? I mean, they've only made a few arrests. Do you think that the problem is more rooted than the solution we are getting now?
Indeed, Stephen. Anyone that is quite abreast with developments or the trends downstream will tell you this problem has been with us for a bit. The unfortunate bit is that the trend keeps increasing. And so 2 years ago, we lost about 700. Last year, it was 850 million on record. This year would have been worse. And what it will mean is that for Ghanaian consumers buying petrol at premium, paying all the taxes on them, the government is not getting anything because some highly placed persons are able to beat the system, divert the product, and eventually get them onto the market. Right. If the NPA actions are sustained, the operative word, sustained, I will not be surprised that within the next few weeks, this phenomenon could be curtailed completely. Right. And we may not have to get back here at all.
Right, Mr. Amwa, you're also calling for the security agencies to provide the NPA boss with protection, some form of security. Why so, if I may understand? Do you get the sense that his life might be threatened by these groups?
Stephen, when you are dealing with a gang of that magnitude, you don't rule out anything. I would personally be surprised if he comes out to deny that he feels the pressure, he feels the heat, he feels that he needs further security than he probably already has, because you are talking of stepping onto an 850 million Ghana, operation. And so what resources will be at the disposal of these crooks? Expect that they will deploy them to fighting him and fighting all agencies or persons connected. But I would want to believe that if we are able to provide the sureties, the guarantees to these officers and men willing to take on this challenge, maybe they will be able to surmount the trouble earlier and be able to get all of us safer, cleaner fuel than we currently have on the market. So indeed, their security would have to be tightened up around this time, because you are not just dealing with ordinary an ordinary cartel or something, but people who are well placed, highly connected, and most of them come with all the sophisticated weapons one could imagine. So he would definitely need to be protected a lot more now in this fight.
Right. Ms. Amwa, we're grateful for your time. Thank you very much. Duncan Amwa is Executive Director of COPEC, the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers Ghana. I'm Stephen Enti. That's where we wrap up with the bulletin. On behalf of the crew, good night. There is more news at 3news.com.